What year did we move to Indiana?
About 1950.
1950, we moved to the street, Indiana, not the state. My kids all thought we lived in Indiana until I got married. But it was Indiana Street, which is by Mary Grove College, by 6 Mile in Wyoming area. So we moved to Indiana around 50, and it's about the time I started school. Doris was already in school, and I was an exceptionally good little boy in elementary school. Didn't get in trouble until later years, but who cares? I felt comfortable at school because one of the ladies in the office was an Armenian lady, Mrs. Krikorian.
Nice.
And she was a friend of Mom's, and she didn't look out for me or anything, but I always knew that there was an Armenian close by. I'm sure there was a lot of others, but that's the only one that I knew of.
There was a lot of Armenians in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
A lot.
Okay, then what? 1953, we got our first television?
Probably before that.
Okay.
I mean, between 50, you're right.
Yeah.
In that time span.
It was black and white. It took a
combo.
half hour to warm up.
But it had a phonograph and radio and
Yep.
what do you call it? There was a word for that. The combination.
Console.
No. And that house had a family upstairs, a rental, and downstairs was up.
Okay.
And
we always had some pretty good neighbors upstairs. No matter how quiet they tried to stay, they drove my dad nuts. Anytime somebody would drop something, he'd take a deep breath.
our childhood was a lot different than today's childhood. Even like it started, I think, with Chrissy's time. When Ray and I were little, we were very free. We could go up and down the block and 10 blocks away, and as long as we told our mom where we were going. But around the time Chrissy came along, I think the world changed, and kids weren't really safe out without a parent or somebody watching them every minute. We would take our bicycles and go for hours. And no cell phones at that time.
No communication. We had a party line until the mid-70s.
You better say what a party line is.
Party line is when two families close by, not knowing each other, had to share the same telephone. And the only real rule was if you picked up the phone and somebody was on the phone and you heard him pick up a couple times, and you try to cut your conversation short. But if they ever mentioned that it was an emergency, excuse me, you had to hang up immediately so they could contact the emergency, which 911 wasn't around then. They had to call the police or fire or whatever. That was the only party line rule, other than being courteous and not listening in on the other people or interrupting their conversations.
Telephone numbers had names. Ours
depending
was
on the
University,
because we were
28120, and
because we were near a university, it was university. So
some places were tuxedo, blah blah blah.
And they used the first two initials. So university was UN, and our number was UN 2